Hi, I'm Jackie Partridge from Jackie Partridge Art. We will be painting some landscape paintings from the region of Waterloo. I would like to acknowledge the financial support of the Region of Waterloo Arts Fund for helping to support this series of painting tutorials. Be sure to like these videos and to subscribe to my channel. You can hit the little bell beside the subscribe button to receive notifications for when new painting tutorials come out. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jackie Partridge Art, and if you paint one of my tutorials, you can use the hashtag Jackie Partridge Art Classes and tag me at Jackie Partridge Art. I'd love to see what you create. Enjoy the videos and be sure to subscribe. Hi, today we're going to be painting a morning sky. This photograph was taken outside of Kitchener, and the colors of paint that we'll be using are cadmium yellow, cadmium red, titanium white, Mars black, cobalt blue. I have a little bit of a turquoise blue, but you don't need it. But if you have it, you can use it. And this is cremoxide green. And again, you don't need it, but if you have it, you can use it. I'm using a 12-inch by 18-inch canvas. If you'd like to use a smaller size or paint on watercolor paper, that's fine too. I have my cap of water. I have a small round detail brush. This is a number 2 round, a number 6 round, so it comes to a nice point. I have a fan brush that's going to be for some details and texture in the clouds. If you don't have that brush, that's okay. And I have a number 10 flat brush to cover our background. So let's get started. So I'm just going to start by mixing some blue for the sky. So just a little bit of our cobalt blue with a tiny bit of titanium white. And we're just going to paint it on the canvas. We're going to do a couple layers of paint, so you don't need to worry about it looking perfect. And make sure to paint the edges of your canvas. And the top as well. So we're going to add some more titanium white with a little bit of the cobalt blue. And just start layering it and blending it. I'm using nice long horizontal strokes so that the paint is nice and smooth. And you can mix right on the canvas if you'd like to as well. just adding a bit of water to my brush to help keep the brush strokes nice and smooth, but you don't want to add too much water or you're going to see a lot of the canvas through the paint. But since we're doing a second layer, that's okay. So I've got about 3/4 of the canvas painted in sky and 1/4 left for the bottom. So this is going to be mostly black for the silhouette and our tree line. But before we add the trees, we're just going to add a little bit of yellow mixed with titanium white for our sunrise. So you can just layer that over top, blend it, carry it over the edge. I'm just going to add a little bit more white. With our round number 6, we're just going to add a touch of pink. So I'm going to get some of my titanium white and a little bit of the cadmium red. Mix that together. And just put that in some areas. And then you can blend it. Like that. So now we can paint the tree line. And to do that, we're just going to use our Mars Black. We can add some other colors into it in our next layer, but for now we're just going to use straight black paint. And make sure you get the edges of the canvas as well. You can tilt your brush kind of horizontal like this and drag it to get a more controlled line. It doesn't need to be straight, and we're going to add the trees after we do the second layer of the sky and finish off the clouds. So now that we have the first layer on our canvas, we're just going to let it dry for about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we can paint our next layer. Right, so we're back. The paint is dry, so we're going to start by painting a second layer to the sky because we want to cover up some of the white bits of our canvas kind of seeping through. So I'm just starting with straight cobalt blue, and you can go ahead and make sure that the edges have a second coat as well. Helps to have a good amount of paint on your brush. And use those long strokes again. Adding some titanium white and blending it together. And just a tiny bit of water. Mix some of that titanium white with the cobalt blue, and again nice long swooping brush strokes. A tiny bit of water. Woo! So I accidentally got a little bit of red there. That's okay. So we can add some red to the sky and we can cover it up. It's not a big deal. So I'm just going to take some more of our cobalt blue with our white, and I can just cover that up in some areas. And I can take some of this red and bring it down here where I had it before. Might actually be a happy accident, as Bob Ross would say. I'm going to get some of this turquoise blue that I have and add some of that into the sky. You can use another blue that you might have. some variety. And add just a little bit more cobalt blue here. Some titanium white. You can mix some cobalt blue with titanium white. And add a little bit of yellow in there. Add your titanium white. And don't worry about the black because we're going to cover up that layer anyways. Get a bit more yellow in there. White. White. And my brush is just kind of dry. I'm lightly feathering it. Add a bit more white at the bottom. Okay, so now we have a good sky base, and I'm just going to touch up some of the areas of black that I can see and white coming through. So next we're going to paint the clouds. So I'm done with my flat brush. I'm going to switch to my number 6 round brush. And we're going to start by painting some of the shadows of the clouds first, and then we'll add the highlights on top of that. So you can take some of your titanium white, which I have in here, and just add a little bit of Mars black to it to make a nice gray. And I will add my mixing grays YouTube video in the link of this description as well. And then we're just going to kind of dab them. You don't need to follow the picture exactly, but just remember that some clouds are going to be bigger and shorter and fatter, and everyone is going to be kind of a different shape. Some are a bit closer together, and some are going to be having more of the sky show through. So it kind of helps to work quickly, and I'm just kind of dabbing my brush like that. And we're going to add other layers of different grays and colors later, so don't worry about it. So as we get higher up into the sky, they're a little bit more further apart. And we don't want to cover up too much of the sky because we have such a beautiful sky with some lovely blues in it. I don't have any water on my brush because I want the edges of the clouds to kind of be soft and fluffy. So I'm using a dry brush. And then you can add some of the clouds to the edges as well. So the picture is just the inspiration. It would take way too long if I was going to copy each individual cloud and make it look just like the photo. Adding a little bit more Mars Black because the clouds are a bit darker on the left side. Don't forget to carry those clouds over the edge of your canvas. And just kind of scratch your brush. And I don't have a ton of paint on there, so it's getting some nice texture. I've painted a bunch of different clouds. I have a bunch of different cloud painting tutorials, so I will link those for you in the description if you're like myself and you really love painting clouds. Okay, so now that we kind of have the base of our clouds mapped out, we're going to add some different colors to them. So we're going to mix some yellows with our grays and some pinks, have some darker shadows, some highlights with extra white to really just add to that. Okay, so we're going to add extra white to the gray that we mixed to do some of our highlights. And you can dab some of the paint off so that you don't have too much on your brush. And just keep the highlights on the same kind of edge of the clouds. And I'm holding my brush handle kind of near the end of the brush so that I can kind of create like a more abstract texture. And I have sort of less control over the brush. Because with clouds, you don't want them to look too perfect, or they're gonna look either really fake or really blobby. So you want them to kind of be very soft and textured. And it's good to work kind of quickly so that the paint can kind of blend together with some of the darker grays that we have. So I'm just kind of tapping my brush. Okay, so the highlights of our clouds are done. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. This is a number 2 round, so the other one I was using was a number 6. And we're going to take some of that pink that we mixed earlier, and you can add a little bit of yellow into it so that it's not as bright and it's a nice kind of corally color. And then I'm just going to mix that with our gray. And then you can just kind of add that in to the clouds so that we have some different colors. It's always good to have variety. So this just kind of adds a nice warm kind of glow of the sunrise. You don't have to do it on every cloud. You can just kind of add it randomly so that you have kind of a variety of colors, and it just helps the painting look more interesting and helps your eye kind of move around the painting. Okay, so now we can add some of our cobalt blue, some Mars black, and our titanium white to make a bluish gray, a bit more blue. Dab off some of that paint. And then this can just be another kind of color for our shadows. So now within one cloud, you're going to have multiple different shades of gray. Might have some dark grays, some light grays, some yellow grays, pink grays, all of that. So clouds are really about just texture, softness, highlights, shadows, and just having a variety. You don't want each cloud to be the same. You want them to look different, which helps it look more natural. All right. So now we're going to add a little bit of green with our gray. So you can add some yellow and some blue, or use some green paint that you might have. I'm going to add a little bit of cadmium yellow as well. Dab off some of that extra paint so you don't get too much on your brush. And then with that same color, I'm just going to add a little bit more titanium white to it. Dab off some of the paint. You can get your fan brush, kind of feather parts. Kind of soften the edges. A bit more of my Mars black. Brush is very dry. A bit of white on there. And then you can do the same with your detail brush as well. I think now that some of the white has dried, I'm just going to sort of dab off some of the white on the brush You can kind of make the highlights stand out a little bit more. It's good to have some contrast. You don't need too much white, just some areas where it's kind of like a bright white. Okay, so once you're happy with the clouds, then we can go and paint some of our trees on top. Just with my dry detail brush, I'm just kind of rubbing it along the edge to get some little tiny clouds out. All right, so now with our same detail brush, we can paint our trees. We're just going to be using some straight black. You want to make sure that you have a nice tip to your brush. So you can start by kind of mapping out the spine of your tree, and I like to start from the top of my tree. The base is a little bit more full. You're going to want some of the sky to show through. So trees are all different shapes and sizes and heights. These trees are kind of overlapping a bit. You don't want them to look too perfect. Just use little brush strokes. Keep the base of the tree having less light shine through. And just keep going. So again, I'm not following the picture exactly. It's just inspiration, so you can add as many trees as you would like, or as if you only want a few trees, that is fine too. And make sure that they're not evenly spaced. Some are going to be close together, some can overlap, others can be a bit further apart. You can use your brush to just kind of fix up the horizon line with some black paint. Touch it up. Alright, so there you have our cloudy sunrise sky painting. And if you like this video, be sure to like it and leave me a comment below. You can check out the other videos in this playlist by looking at the description. These videos, again, are supported by the Region of Waterloo Arts Fund. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to see the videos that come out next time. You can follow me on Instagram at Jackie Partridge Art. If you complete this painting, feel free to tag me and use the hashtag Jackie Partridge Art Classes. Thanks for watching. Happy painting.